shake. place. I'm here with you. I see your face in the crowd, but you don't seem so far away. Nothing between us is empty space, empty space. Even when the music is loud, I'd rather be no other place. Here with you now.
All right, everybody, welcome to TMGL Winter 2021 Step 3 here. We are just about ready to get started for another fantastic week on 6 tracks once again. I'm excited to see what Scrappy's going to be able to do here in Step 3. A lot of ups and downs in Step 2 for Scrappy. He had an incredible start, unfortunately. A bit of a heavy points loss there in race number 5 in Step number 2. The 6th race of the day, though, he was able to get a top 8 finish and recover at least a little bit of points on the day. But now he's definitely ready to have a full force day in step number 3 here. I've been watching him a lot in preparation for this week. He's looking really good going into this set of races today. I have a lot of confidence that Scrappy's going to be able to do a lot of work here on the overall points total today. But it all comes down to those most important races of the day being the final 2 in the step. Everything can be make it or break it in those final 2 tracks of the day. So we'll see if he's got what it takes to secure some solid finishes overall on step number 3 here. But excited to be with you guys. Appreciate everybody tuning in for step number 3 here today. And we'll see in just a few short moments who may potentially make their mark on the overall leaderboards today. If you guys are hanging out in chat, be sure to check out our sponsors here as well, Logitech G and XP Sports. We've got a nice discount code going as well with XP Sports right now. You can head over to xpsports.com, use code LZR, and you can get 30% off there on your first purchase. So without further ado, though, we are going to hop into the action on our first track of the day. It is going to be Bicycle to start things off. We'll hop on with Scrappy here as we get this first map of the day underway and see what he can do. Here we go, right into the action though. Starting this one off, it is going to be Scrappy. A little bit behind in the pack, but overall, not necessarily the worst position to be starting off in. Definitely within striking distance of the large group here just in front of him. As we've seen though, the early maps on the day, not usually a strong indicator as to how these drivers may finish. For a lot of them, it's more of just seeing if they can get themselves a nice little points buffer to maybe hold on to in those final 2 races of the day. Right now, though, Scrappy starting to work his way back into the middle of the pack here as we narrow closer to the end of lap number 1. As we saw last week, Bicycle was a map where Scrappy was able to put up some very decent lap times overall, so I can see him recovering nicely in this one. Looking at the leaderboards right now, though, it is going to be Gwen already with the early start here, grabbing that leader position. Yvonne and Spam rounding out the top 3 right now. A lot more time and work, though, to be done on this first map of the day. Scrappy, though, started off in about 13th, already working his way into 7th currently. Not a bad recovery at all, just 2 laps into it. And already you can see Scrappy looking to make his mark, maybe even to a top 4 position here very soon. He's definitely showing a strong effort so far here on Bicycle. The question now being, will he be able to hold on to this position? As you can see, a little bit of speed and momentum lost around the last few corners, dropping back down to around that 7th position. But he is able to recover nicely going into the icy banks here. Scrappy, though, currently in 6th position as he makes his way through the ice here. As you can see, a nice execution coming out of it. Gives him a chance for even more gains here in lap number 3. Looking at potentially fighting for that 4th position here between Tween and Spam. Having some trouble, though, holding on to it. So you can see the middle of the pack starting to catch up to him here. A bit of a loss of momentum puts him down around 7th, actually all the way back to 10th now. around that last couple of turns. Right now it is going to be Scrappy just trying to get back up into that top 8 position. As we can see, it looked like we did have a driver go down and out there. I believe it was Yvonne around the corners having some trouble. Gwen, actually, the driver going down there, already into the back of the pack. Unfortunate for Gwen, but fortunate for Scrappy here. Now he has a chance to work his way back up comfortably into the top 8, where he was just a lap ago. As you can see around the first bank, it's going to be a pretty decent exit for Scrappy. A little shaky on the second one here, but still maintaining his position in that 8th spot overall. Actually getting a slight pass here onto Rialu for that 7th, but Rialu able to take it right back. A lot of early pressure on these drivers, especially those who haven't built up a ton of points here in the first 2 steps. Scrappy definitely not in a comfortable position overall. A lot of recovery left to do here in the remaining steps if he wants to finish in the top 8 overall. Carl Jr. right now overall probably the only driver I would say has secured his place in the top 8 for the season. He's already amassed quite a few points in just the first 2 weeks of the Winter 2021 series here, so everybody else, though, their spot is definitely up for grabs. Scrappy right now fighting for that 10th place position back and forth against Arl. Unfortunately, not able to overtake him just yet. We are on lap 4 out of 6, though. Scrappy a little bit shaky in this last one. We'll see if there's any recovery left in store, but unfortunately, looks like he has fallen behind just a hair due to a bit of an error there, so unfortunately for Scrappy, this first one not looking like the best race overall. It's just going to be a rough start on the day, and potentially a last place for the first race here, but the benefit here, guys, being, you know, if it's going to happen to you in any race, you'd rather it be the first than the last here, so definitely not the best position to start in, but in Trackmania, it's not about how you start, it's about how you finish here, so we'll see if he can recover in the next 5 tracks. He's got ample time to do so, but unfortunately just not the start that Scrappy was hoping for here in map number 1. As we can see here, though, getting close to the finish of our first map of the day. It looks like Pac may indeed be the winner here. Tween not too far behind him. Papu kind of rounding out the top 3 here. Scrappy, though, continuing to have a few mistakes there, just taking it right into the wall. I'm sure he's a little bit frustrated here, having a rough start to the day, but still time to recover here on the day for sure for Scrappy as we close out this first map. We are rounding out the final lap here. Pac still out in front by over half a second here, so well on his way to securing a victory on this first track of the day. Scrappy, though, just going to be closing this one out at this point. Not a whole lot he can really do to recover on time. It's just going to be taking this one on the chin and moving forward. Right now, though, it's just going to be about mentally resetting and preparing for that second map here of the day. I think for Scrappy, that's all you can really do at this point. You've just got to make sure that one bad race doesn't really affect your mentality overall. So we'll see what Scrappy can do to recover as the day continues forward, but it is going to be a 16th place finish here on track number 1. All right, guys, there it's going to be the end here on race number 1. Only 1 point, of course, being found for that overall positioning. But it's not over just yet. We've got quite a bit more coming your way here today, as well as a special event between the 4th and 5th map of the day, guys. We're going to be doing something fun today where Twitch chat will control the car for a little bonus race they're going to be doing today between races number 4 and 5. So that's going to be pretty interesting to see. I hope you guys are ready for that, though. You guys are going to be able to control the car for our little bonus race we're doing between track number 4 and 5 of the day. So stay tuned for that a little bit later on, but we are going to be ready to go into the second map here in just a few short moments. Appreciate everybody tuning in here. A quick shout out to our partners as well, Logitech G and XP Sports. Be sure to check them out, guys. But we are going into track number 2 here for the day to see if Scrappy can have a bit of a better showing here in this one. Track number 2 as well for the day will be Bookcase here. A track where I would say Scrappy definitely has had some strong performance and times on. I think for Scrappy, it's just going to be getting through that mental block we saw in the first map of the day. But when it's all said and done, the last 2 races are really where it matters most here overall. So we'll see how he fares in the final 2 tracks of the day. But right now, we're going to hop into Bookcase for map number 2 here to see what he can get done. As we can see, just about a minute of warm-up here, everybody getting comfortable on the track. Scrappy's looked a little bit shaky in terms of just what he's doing here in the warm-up. I'm not sure if he's having issues from a technical standpoint. It seems like maybe there could be some issues from a technical standpoint with just the way it's been looking for him maneuvering around the track here. So hopefully no broken tech on his end. That would be an unfortunate thing to have to deal with mid-TMGL, but we'll see if he's able to fix what he needs to get things going here for this next track of the day. All right, guys, just about 10 seconds here, and we are going to hop in for our second track of the day. This one's going to be Bookcase to keep the ball rolling for us. All right, here we go. Track number 2, Scrappy. Looking to see what he can do on Bookcase as we continue forward in step number 3. Starting it off, though, comfortably in the middle of the pack early on here. Still no clear front runners just yet. Rounding out the first few turns, though. Couple drivers falling behind early here. Scrappy's still right in the middle. So far, though, things looking pretty solid here. Looking for a little bit of momentum to catch back up, though. Starting to fall behind just a hair around the last corner there. A bit of recovery, though, is all it's going to take here. And as we go into the jump section here, this has been historically where Scrappy has been able to recover a lot of his time lap for lap. So I'd expect him to maybe make a little bit of a jump here up the rankings overall. And look at that, from 14th, already comfortably in with the front of the pack here in the top 8. That's exactly what you like to see to kind of seal things moving forward. Still 5 laps to get it done. No room for errors here. Just looking to have a clean race this time around. Starting this one, though, it is going to be 6th place for Scrappy on lap number 2 so far. Still looking for that recovery to maybe even get into the lead here. He has the potential to do it, as we've seen Scrappy in this jump section. I'm not sure what he's doing that's significantly different from the rest of the group, but he's making up so much time in his ability to nail that section down perfectly. This time around, though, he actually has a loss of speed around that corner, and I think we may see a change in approach here just because Scrappy didn't get the momentum he was hoping for. But surprisingly, even though he had a little bit of an error there, he is able to recover it nicely. A little bit of a bump at the end there actually puts him down on the momentum, though. The bump hurting quite a bit there. And he does fall back into about 14th, so he's going to have to recover here. He's not out of reach of a good position just yet, but he's going to have to nail the rest of the execution here on Bookcase. Right now, though, Scrappy currently sitting in the back of the pack here on the start of lap number 3. He's going to have to make up a lot of time here moving forward in order to have a chance at a good placement. He's about 5 seconds off the lead here, about 3.5 off of a spot in the top 8, so it's definitely a time we've seen him able to recover before here, but now more than ever, he's got to be very careful going into the jump section. Another mistake in this section could result in a poor performance again here on map number 2. As you can see, though, coming out of it this time around a lot cleaner and already able to make up a little bit of time here. Now already fighting against Tween for that 15th spot. Should have a chance for the pass here very soon. Couple other drivers very close in front here. Scrappy definitely with the potential for a couple passes here on lap number 4. We'll see if he can get it done. Scrappy, though, definitely looking to clean things up here. The pack getting closer and closer. Going into the jump section, though, it's got to be a perfect execution once again. And here we go right into it. This is where Scrappy has a moment to shine here and see what he can do to recover. Gets the pass there immediately on to Tween, still looking good. Going into the downturn here. We'll see if he can hold on to his position or maybe even make up some more ground here. But unfortunately, he hits the pole again there, and that is going to lose the momentum he was able to gain. So he does get a good pass out of it into 13th, but does lose a bit of speed to potentially get even more out of that one. Lap 5 out of 6 here, though. Scrappy still looking for more out of this one to kick off the day. Just having trouble in that downturn coming out of the jump section. He's hit the pole twice on it so far in 5 laps, so it's going to be a tough recovery to see if he can get anything more done here. But at the end of the day, all of the points that you accumulate here in the first 2 races have no penalty against you, even if you're back here in 13th place. So all of it's just potential extra points on the table if he can have a good final 2 races of the day, and that's really what he's looking for here out of his performance today. Going into the jump section, though, we'll see if there's any more recovery left in store here for Scrappy in this one. See if he can nail this downturn and prevent any issues as we've seen from hitting that pole this time around, though. Very clean on the downturn, gains some speed as well going up this hill out of it, and is looking for even more pass potential here. So Scrappy, even though he did start out in the back of the pack, there is a chance for maybe a top 10 finish if he can scrape it out here in the final run through. Unfortunately, he's going to hit a little bit of the corner there on that last turn, bumping him back into 13th position. Should have a chance to recover it, though, in the jump section. As we move forward here, though, Scrappy's still looking for those signs of recovery. These 2 drivers in front of him definitely able to be passed here on the jump section. Going into it, though, he's able to pick up a little bit of speed here around the corner. And now it's all about the execution here in the final lap. Has to nail this last section here to have a chance at any more gains in the final lap. Coming into the downturn here, we'll see if he can get the job done. As you can see, he is able to get around the downturn pretty clean, but not enough to make any big recovery on his time for these 2 drivers in front. So it will be a 13th place finish here for Scrappy in our second race of the day. A bit better than what we saw in map number 1, but unfortunately just a few small errors cost him a great deal of time here on this map. If it wasn't for those, it definitely would have been a top 5 finish here for Scrappy on this map. He looks very clean when he's able to execute properly on that drop-down section, but unfortunately, this time around, it is going to be a 13th place finish, and Scrappy still will be in the back of the pack for the overall points here today. But we'll see what he can do going into the final 4 to try and recover here. Unfortunate situation, though. It looks like Scrappy, as you guys see in the chat there, is having some controller issues. So it's going to make it a very difficult day for Scrappy to try and scrape some good points out of, especially considering those last 2 races of the day being very difficult to do. And getting out of that top 8 is going to be pretty much a 0 points day if you're not able to be in that top 8 for at least one of those races. As we go into our 3rd map of the day, though, we'll see what Scrappy can do even with the difficulties he faces here in today's races, just to try and get the job done here. Starting off our warm-up, though, map number 3 is going to be Switcheroo here. Scrappy looking to see what he can do to work with the issues he's got today. It's going to make it a very tough day, but still, we'll see if Scrappy can remain resilient here and find a way into some points after all. Right now, though, you can see Scrappy just getting as comfortable as he can here on this 3rd map of the day. It's going to be a challenging one. Switcheroo definitely has a lot of room for error here, so it is going to be a tough one to play with any sort of technical difficulties on his end. So we'll see what's in store for the potential recovery here, but it's going to be a tough day, to say the least, here for Scrappy as we go into map number 3. If you guys are hanging out as well, appreciate everybody tuning in. Be sure to follow the channel here if you haven't, to show your support for Scrappy as we continue forward in the TMGL season. As we can see, though, 10 seconds here remaining in the warm-up before we hop into it on Switcheroo. It is going to be the 3rd map of the day, and this is where things start to heat up a little bit. Scrappy, though, just trying to do what he can here to get some extra points in this next race. And here we go, right into the action here on our 3rd map of the day. Around the first couple of corners, everybody seeming to keep pretty close to one another, but as we can see, it is going to be Scrappy trying to fight his way through the middle of the pack to kick it off. Early on, though, it is going to be Rialu out in front to start this one off. Scrappy, though, you can see a little bit of issue with momentum around that last corner. You can tell there's definitely some controller issues going on here, and unfortunately that's going to put him in a tough position already at the start here of our 3rd track of the day. Scrappy, though, just trying to do what he can to try and recover here. About 3 seconds behind that top 8 position, already in a spot to potentially lose half of his points, but I guess the big benefit here is losing half of 4 isn't necessarily the worst position to be in. Still ample time to do what he can in the final 3 maps. Right now, though, it is an unfortunate one for Scrappy. If you guys are tuning in, Scrappy having some issues with a portion of his controller essentially breaking on him, it sounds like, today. So it is going to make keeping up with the best of the best drivers here in TMGL an almost impossible task in terms of getting himself some top 8 victories here. But we'll see if he's able to do anything with it. It's just going to be a big challenge for him, but if he's able to somehow do it, it would be incredible to see a top 8 finish here. Hopping into it, though, with Scrappy, we'll see exactly what is in store for him to close out map number 3. We're about 3 laps into this one so far. Scrappy starting to make up a little bit of time here, but with that 3 seconds behind the top 8, it's going to be a tough one to potentially find his way into a top 8 placement. As we can see, though, he's starting to narrow closer to the middle of the pack here in the back 8. We'll see if he has a chance for a pass here coming up soon. About halfway through this race, and It looks like he is starting to get comfortable, at least with the situation he's been presented with here, so at least that's good to see. He's finding a way to make it work, even though the circumstances aren't necessarily in his favor here. Link actually going to have an issue himself there, going down and out. So Scrappy able to get a 15th position out of that. Looking for even more recovery here. See what he can do. It's going to be a couple drivers, Spam and Gwen, right in front of Scrappy here as well. Scrappy continues to try and claw back here on the overall standings in race number 3. Going around the last few turns though, Scrappy still making up some time here, but unfortunately with the start he had there, just very, very far behind the pack overall. Right now, though, at this point, looking like a pretty likely back 8 finish, so it will mean half of the points gained will be taken away here for Scrappy going into race number 4. Unfortunately so, but it's just a tough circumstance here for him, to say the least. I'm sure definitely a frustrating experience for Scrappy, but it's one of those things that, unfortunately, you kind of just have to take with a grain of salt and deal with. It's not over yet, though, for him. At least there's multiple steps in the future where he could recover if the controller remains to be broken and cause these kind of issues for the rest of today's races. We'll see if he can find a way, though, to maybe either get a controller swap or potentially get his issue fixed before the final 2 races of the day. Right now, though, here on lap number 5, Scrappy starting to catch up a little bit to Spam. Potential for maybe a 14th out of this one if he can play his cards right. Spam definitely losing some of his momentum around the last couple of turns. In the final lap here, there should be some potential. Actually, another driver going down and out there, and looks like Scrappy should be able to get another pass out of this one. So right now it is going to be Scrappy with the pass there on to Tween, still looking for one on to Spammy J as well. We'll see if he can find it. Around the last few turns, though, still recovering nicely, starting to catch up to Spammy J just in front of him in that 13th position. So if he can somehow at least get a 13th out of this, not too bad considering the circumstances, I'd say. Either way, though, in the final lap, it looks like either a 13th or 14th is pretty much the fate here of Scrappy in this one. Tween starting to catch up behind him as well, but still about a half second of lead time here. Oh, Spammy J, though, hits the checkpoint. That's going to be an unfortunate hit there for Spammy J, and Scrappy actually recovering a little bit of extra time here. Spam, though, that's going to be a pretty devastating blow for him, and there you have it at the last second, though. It looks like there was a pass from Tween, so Scrappy's still going to finish in 14th overall. But hey, not a bad place to be considering how it started. Spam, though, got to feel a little bit bad for him. That last blunder onto the checkpoint puts him at the back of the pack. So Scrappy gains 3, loses 2, so only a gain of 1 here overall. Spam, though, going to be losing 12 points, moving him pretty far back. Scrappy, though, still unfortunately sitting in the back of the pack overall. As we go into the final 3 of the day, we'll see what he can do to potentially get things going. Getting ready to go into map number 4 on the day, though. If you guys are tuning in, appreciate everybody tuning in and showing your support. Scrappy, unfortunately, having some technical difficulties on the day with his controller not working properly. It's one of those things, though, you just have to kind of deal with it and do what you can, and then try and get the issue resolved if possible. But if not, he's just going to have to come back swinging in step number 4 and try and have a really big week for himself in order to move through towards those playoffs. So we'll see what he can do as we go into our 4th track of the day. Don't forget, though, guys, after track number 4, which will be Slalom, we are going to be doing a viewer-controlled mini race in between the 4th and 5th map of the day, so stay tuned for that. You guys in chat are going to be able to control the vehicle in that little bonus race we're doing here after Slalom. So definitely stick around for that. It's going to be a great one for you guys to have some fun with there in the chat. Here we go, though, into Slalom here. We'll see what Scrappy can do to try and make a recovery here as he prepares for those final 2 maps of the day. Maybe getting some extra points on the table from this third one, and then just going into those last 2, doing everything he can to hold on to a top 8. Slalom, though, I can see this being a very difficult map with any sort of controller issues. It's a very high intensity map and a lot of speed and momentum, and especially with this ice turn, I feel like this section right here with his controller issues, as you can see there on the warm-up, it's going to be tough to deal with that with any sort of controller issues. That's a difficult turn to nail just normally with things working properly, let alone any sort of controller issues. So it's going to be a tough race, I would say, here for Scrappy. Just that ice turn alone is going to be pretty much the death of you with any sort of controller issue. So we'll see what he can do to potentially make up some ground here, but this is going to be quite the challenge today for Scrappy, and I think for him it's just seeing what he can do to potentially make something happen despite the circumstances here. So all right, Slalom, here we go. It's going to be Scrappy trying his best here to work with the situation he's in and see if he can have a good performance here on Slalom. That icy turn is going to be the true test to see what he can do under these circumstances. A broken controller on Slalom, definitely a challenge in itself. On top of that, he's got 15 amazing drivers that he's up against with seemingly no issues themselves on their controller, so it is going to be a tough one. But Scrappy, he is a fantastic driver, so we'll see what he can do here to get the job done. Starting it off, though, sitting right in the middle of the pack. Not too bad so far, right around that 8th position. As we go into it, though, looking towards that first icy turn to decide how things might pan out for this one. Going into the first one, it is going to be Scrappy. A little shaky, but he actually is able to fully connect and make it through. He does lose a little bit of ground there, but he doesn't have to reset, so that does give him at least something to work with going around that first turn. So as you can see, it is proving to be a challenging section given his circumstances, but it's not enough to take him down and out just yet. As we can see, though, 13th, not the spot you want to be. Still half points deduction here, so when he's only got 5 to hang on to, every point is going to be valuable to try and keep here if he has the opportunity to do so going into these final 2 tracks of the day. Unfortunately so, though, with a broken controller, it is not an easy task here, as you can see. Going into that icy turn once again, it's going to be a true test for Scrappy here. He's able to get a couple passes, though, so actually moves up to about 11th. A couple drivers already having issues around the turn on their second go of it, but Scrappy actually does it quite well and moves into the top 8. Very nicely done from him, and if he could nail that in that same fashion for the remainder of this race, there is a strong potential of a top 8 here. Here we have it, though. Scrappy, he's going to see Spammy J actually hitting the checkpoint once again. Spam having some issues taking those checkpoints literally head on today. So right now, though, Scrappy holding on to the back end of the top 8 here. We'll see if he can recover even more so going into that next icy turn, since that is the make it or break it section here for Scrappy. Any sort of controller issue on that makes it even more difficult than it normally is, so seeing him able to deal with it the way he has honestly been quite incredible so far, even considering the position only being 10th. But now we'll see if he can do it once again here. Third go around, Scrappy nails it again here, and this is what you love to see. Scrappy definitely making some good work of the map here so far. And for Scrappy, with these circumstances, he's performing quite well, I'd have to say. I mean, top 8 out of this is quite a feat if he can pull this off. Lap number 4, though, still has to try and maintain one bad turn around the ice, and it could all be taken away here. And for Scrappy, it's all about seeing what he can do here to close out the day strong. It was a tough start, a lot of issues, but at the end of the day, like I said earlier, it's all about how you finish here in these final races of the day. As we prepare for the next icy turn, we'll see if he can hold on to it once again, going around into the corner here still, fighting neck and neck for that 8th position. We'll see if he can nail the icy turn once again. This is the toughest section to hold on to. Scrappy, though, this time around, it's not going to go his way. He does a little bit of a spin, but doesn't actually go down and out. He doesn't hit the reset button, and this is actually going to pay off in his favor. He does a little 360 there and still keeps momentum rolling and doesn't actually fall out of the map. So not actually a bad recovery considering the situation that just happened. Only falls to 10th position, so there is still time to make this one up. So definitely have to give credit for Scrappy. Even though he didn't nail the turn, he recovered as best as he could there. Right now, though, only 2 laps to go, and he is neck and neck for this cutoff here, but that is going to be a devastating one here. Misses the barrier execution by just a small margin there, and that is what's going to bump him back extremely far into the pack now. 15th, only ahead of Affy. Going into the next ice turn here, it is going to be Scrappy looking to do what he can, but unfortunately after that last lap, it's looking almost unrecoverable at this point to get a top 8 out of this one. Here we have it, though. The last lap, Scrappy looking for any sort of recovery potential possible. A top 8 looking very unlikely at this point. He's about 7 seconds off from it. Maybe a pass or two could happen on to Spam or Yvonne, but realistically, it's just going to be a tough position for Scrappy going into the final 2 tracks of the day. We are going to have a short break, though, for the drivers in between the 4th and 5th map of the day, so maybe Scrappy will have a chance there to get something sorted out, to get a controller in working condition for himself for the final 2 races, because ultimately, if he could sort something out to where his controller works for the final 2 races, there's still a chance it's not a bad day overall. Right now, though, Scrappy just going to be closing this one out. And unfortunately, it looks like it will be finishing in the back of the pack on this one. And you have to wonder if he had nailed the icy turn that one lap it went wrong, if he might have been able to finish in the top 8. It looked very promising to kick it off, and unfortunately, without the controller issues there, I think that would have been a really, really solid race for Scrappy. As we have it, though, that is going to round out the first 4 races of the day. Scrappy currently with only 4 points overall, but there's still a chance in the final 2 races that something big could go his way, and maybe, just maybe, he will find his way back into it to close out the day strong. But right now, I think we are going to be going into the Twitch chat controlled race here. I'm not quite sure how this is going to work, guys. I do have some quick sort of overview I can post for you guys of what the controls are for this in the chat. It's going to be an interesting concept. It's something that we have never tried before here with Trackmania, so we are going to be hopping into Clash time here. And I've pasted the controls there for you guys in the chat for how this is going to work. It's going to be an interesting thing, but those are the controls, guys, in the chat. So if you want to take a look here, we're going to hop back into it. And you guys are in charge. Those are the controls here. So feel free to have at it, as you can see on the screen there as well. We're going to start in 40 seconds here. Chat, you guys are in charge. If you want us to win, you got to take the reins here and get us that W. It's not too difficult of a track, as you can see on the overview on your screen here. It's kind of just a fairly basic oval with a few sharp turns here and a few sections, but you got to get ready, chat, because in 20 seconds, we're going to hit the pedal to the metal. We're going to go for this W, chat. We got to get it for the stream here. So we'll see what you guys can do. You guys are going to take control of Scrappy's car here, and we'll see what we can do in the Clash Time race. Let's have at it. Got to try and coordinate, guys, in chat. If we're all just hitting plus, we're only going forward straight into a wall. You got to turn at some point. So let's hop back on with Scrappy here so you guys get the right perspective. But here we go. Here's the clash, guys. We're hopping into it. Currently, we got to turn right there. There you go. Keep it up, chat. Little forward here. Now go a little to the left. Got to keep it up. Oh, we're going to hit that wall head on here. Not too bad. We're in the top three. We're in the top three. We're coming for you, Yvonne. Slowly but surely, we are coming for you. All right, all right, all right. We're making progress here, guys. Keep it up. Just get some pluses in the chat till we hit this next turn. Maybe a little bit of right turns in there. We're getting closer, though. Maybe a few more right turns. We're getting stuck on this wall here, guys. We've got to make a little more progress, but then straight ahead. This is where it's going to get a little sketchy, though, guys. We just kind of want to iron it out, hit those pluses. Just keep spamming plus. I think we're in a good spot here, guys. Right now, though, second place, maybe even first. I don't know where Arl is. I'd assume it's first place right now. All right, we got a left turn coming up. Get ready for a little bit of a left turn. And then we're going to have to go immediately to the right after. A little left turn, though. All right, now we got to go to the right. It's a sharp right, though, so lots of rights in the chat for just a minute here. Oh, we might have to back up, guys. We might have to back up. Do we want to reset here? We're going to have to reset. Get the RS in the chat, guys. We're going to have to reset. I don't think this is possible. We can't right turn out of this one. Someone hit that RS in the chat. I think you have to type RS for the reset. We'll see if we can get it, though. I think everybody's getting stuck here. This is a tough one. That sharp turn, I think, is kind of proven to be a difficult one for most people. Well, I think we're stuck here, boys. Maybe we try spamming left. Maybe it'll just curve us out and we do like a full 360. Let's try spamming left, guys. See if that does anything. That's the only thing we haven't really tried, I feel like. Maybe get some lefts in there. Some lefts and some pluses. Just kind of spam our way out of it. I don't know. I think everybody's stuck on this turn, though. Looks like some people are getting out of it somehow, though. I'm not sure if anyone's actually fully made this one out, but I don't think the reset's working. Is it something we can click on manually? No, I can't click it on. I can't click manually to try and help you guys. I was going to try and reset it manually, but it's not working out. Unfortunately, I don't think anyone is moving anywhere right now, guys. I think we are all stuck in the same situation, it looks like. Just keep spamming that RS. We'll see if we can get the reset to maybe go our way. I'm not sure. I think that's the only real way to get through this, though. Just try a quick spam of RS, everybody. Hopefully that's enough to get it done. I'm not sure why the reset's not working, but I think that's the only way we might make it through here. We're trying, guys. The reset's not working. Let's see if anyone has made it through. So it looks like some people have figured out how to get their reset to work, but we are still stuck here. It looks like it's still trying to force us forward, though. Maybe try some minus spam. Because minus is supposed to be back, right? So the double minus spam. Let's try that for a second, guys. Just everybody go for some minus. Nobody hit anything else. Just hit the double minus here. See if it'll actually let us go back. It's still just trying to push our car forward. Like, you can see the tires rotating like it's still trying to go forward. We've got to put it in reverse. It's okay, guys. Let's just take a moment to realize we're all getting the Scrappy broken controller experience on this one. Let's be real. We're all getting that experience here, so we're getting a moment of zen together. I think we're just stuck here, though, guys. All right, guys. Well, while you keep at the wheel, we're gonna take a peek here and see if anyone has actually figured this out at all. We got a lot of people enjoying these walls, it seems, though. Isn't it? Maybe it's just a nice view. Well, I guess it'd be a nicer view if we were looking at Scrappy instead of Yvonne, you know. But hey, we'll take what we can get here. It looks like a couple of drivers are still trying their luck at it. There's some people that are moving. We're not moving, though. We're still trying to go forward. I think the problem here is, if you have so many people in chat, I think it's still trying to actually catch up with the plus spams we all did. Because, like, if you look at it, our car's still trying to go forward here. Because the problem is, the more people you have in chat, the harder this is going to be, I feel like. If you just have one person in chat, you're probably going to make it through. If you have 10,000 people in your chat, you're probably at this wall. Yvonne's chat made it all the way through. Congratulations, Yvonne's chat. I'm not sure if they actually made it all the way. Maybe they were just the furthest along when time was up. But we did all right. I think we got like 4th, 5th, somewhere in there. But, you know, we'll take what we can get. It was a fun little experiment, though, guys. I feel like they need to make the track not have any sharp turns, though, for this to somehow work. Maybe just do like a wide open field straight and see who gets there first. Maybe with like a few slower turns. I feel it's got to be a situation where you don't get stuck. Otherwise, everyone's going to get stuck. But guys, we are going to be taking a quick moment. The drivers are going to be getting reset back into things here, and we'll see exactly what's in store for us as we go into our final 2 tracks of the day. Scrappy playing this one out with a broken controller. It's one of those things where we're just going to see what he can do to maybe get the job done, but appreciate everybody tuning in, having some fun with us today. I enjoyed that little bit of clash time we just had, but now we're going to be hopping into the frozen fridges for our next race of the day. 2 more to go. And this is where all of the points are on the table for all of these drivers. And, you know, realistically, if you were hoping for, you know, a situation where Scrappy's going to get the most out of today, with a broken controller, I mean, the best case scenario is seeing all of these drivers with high points go down. You know, regardless of where Scrappy finishes, if everyone isn't getting a lot of points out of the day, that's a pretty good situation for everybody going into the next week. So, right now, though, Scrappy going to be fighting from behind and seeing what he can do with a broken controller on these final 2 races of the day. All the points on the table. We'll see if he can make anything out of it, but at the end of the day, it kind of is what it is at this point, and he's just going to have to try and make the best of it. If you guys are tuning in, though, be sure to hit that follow button if you guys haven't, to show some support for Scrappy's channel here. You can catch him most days training and doing some matchmaking even now as well on the channel here during the week, so definitely be sure to give him that follow for your support. We've got about 2.5 minutes, though, in preparation for this next one on the day. Before we hop into it, though, a quick shout out to our partners here, Logitech G and XP Sports. We've got a great deal right now with XP Sports. You can use code LZR on xpsports.com for a nice 30% off your next purchase there. So definitely check those guys out and show them some nice love, as they've been incredible supporters of what we do here in the TMGL. So we are going to hop on with Scrappy here, see how things are going for him in the warm-up, trying to make the best out of his situation here with that broken controller. But, you know, it's just going to make it that much more rewarding if he can somehow find a top 8 here. Scrappy, though, looking pretty comfortable in the warm-up, I have to say. Even with the situation he's in, he's definitely finding ways to adapt here and make the best out of it. So it's going to be a tough one. Still, I guess the big benefit of the doubt here is, you know, 4 points. Don't have a whole lot to lose if things go wrong in this last one. And for Scrappy, it's really just about race 6 at this point. I mean, this one could go either way. Obviously, if he could get the top 8 in both, it'd be a great position to be in. But with controller issues, I think for Scrappy, the best bet is to just try and do everything he can for a top 8 in the final race. And If he somehow gets it in both, that would be incredible, but that 6th race is really going to be the biggest impact potential for Scrappy now at this point. I saw someone in chat say, can we send him 1,000 controllers from Wish? I think he wants 1,000 controllers if that would work, but maybe that's just me. I don't know. But guys, we are going to hop into it here in just a few short moments. 40 seconds to go before we kick off our 5th map of the day. It's going to be a tough one here as we go into the frozen fridges for Scrappy. Broken controller and all, trying to make the best of it here in step number 3. About 10 seconds and we will be kicking this one off, guys. All right, here we go. It's going to be map number 5. Scrappy looking to see what he can do with that broken controller to try and make something happen here in these last 2 maps of the day. Kicking it off, though, not a bad start. Maintaining with the middle of the pack here. Trying to do what he can to get a top 8 in these final 2 of the day. Right now, though, already about 13th or 14th position on the board. Not quite the best position to be in, but there is time for that recovery. We'll see what he can do to get it done here. Not too bad overall so far. Going into the slow section here, trying to make some recovery. Still hanging around that 13th position. Trying to keep it clean around the turns now. As you can see, Scrappy starting to move his way up on the last couple of turns here towards that top 8. Definitely finding some strong potential here. Unfortunately, in that last turn, though, he actually sunk down to about 15th here. Not sure if he just took it a little bit too wide there or what, but it's going to be a bit of a blow to the overall standings. Right now, though, it is going to be Scrappy, 15th place in this 5th map of the day. He's still within striking distance, though, of the middle of the pack here, so if he can find a way to maybe shave off a little time and catch up, there is still a potential for a top 8 out of this one, but he's going to have to play lights out to try and make that happen, especially with the broken controller. It's just going to add to an already difficult position to be in. As we can see, going into that first turn, recovering a little bit of time. It looks like Mutta had some issues there as well. Massa spins out. So it's going to be 13th for Scrappy, just trying to hold on and hope that the other drivers make mistakes while he's able to try and maintain what he can. So Scrappy working his way back up the leaderboards here into 12th position now. Only about a second off of that 8th spot as well, so it's definitely doable here for him if he can keep the momentum on his side. One small mistake, though, is all it takes to make this one an unwinnable situation. Scrappy, though, looking for those opportunities to try and recover here. He's actually maintaining his speed quite well on lap number 3, moving closer to this midsection of the pack. And this is exactly where he wants to be to have a chance to somehow walk away with a top 8 finish here. As we can see, going into the turns now, he does have a chance to move back up here. That middle of the pack very, very close within reach. It is all about trying to hold on and do what he can do here. You can see that last turn, though, a bit too shaky. Costs him a bit of time, about a second lost on that last one. And now about 1.1 off of that top 8. Overall, though, still fighting his way back up the leaderboards. It's going to be Scrappy, 13th now on lap number 4, just behind Mutta and Carl Jr. here. Carl Jr., though, in a position where, for him, I mean, he can afford to have a bad week and still be in the top. He really can. I think he has 155 points, something along those lines overall. Very, very confident performance from him in the first 2 weeks. So Scrappy, though, already overall outside of the top 8, so he needs a big week coming up next week if he's not able to close out with any good points this week. Right now, though, Scrappy just holding on to that 13th position, hoping there's some additional mistakes made by drivers out in front of him here. And Mutta going to have some struggles, it looked like there around the last turn. Gwen actually goes down and out as well. Scrappy, though, moving into 12th here, 4 spots off of the top 8, but as you can see, all of those drivers very close within passing distance here in the last 2 laps if Scrappy's able to get a little bit of momentum on his side and catch up here. Definitely a tough recovery in store, but nonetheless, Scrappy remaining resilient to try and get it done. He hasn't had any major mistakes so far here on the frozen fridges as well, so it's definitely a good position for him to be in, and the potential recovery you can see in store. Scrappy slowly but surely closing this distance. He's actually going to get the pass here onto Mutta, going back and forth, and now he's gained a lot of ground going into these turns. He could potentially get some passes to go his way. This is a great position now for Scrappy to be in, but he has to try and clean up his execution on these turns. Currently still holding on to 12th, but he's gaining closer and closer to the middle of the pack. Unfortunately, a little shaky on that last downturn here. Has to try and make up that time in the final lap. Currently Spam out in front, though, on track number 5 today. Scrappy still trying to fight for a chance at the top 8. He has only less than a second of a gap between that 8th place driver, but there's so much work to be done in order to close that gap completely. 1 second can mean a world of difference here on a track like Frozen Fridges, so he's looking for every opportunity he can here to try and shave some time. As you can see around that last turn, doing a good job of getting closer and closer to the middle of the pack here in this final lap. There is going to be a chance on the downturns to make the passes he needs to get into the top 8, but it's going to be a tough task here. He has to try and not only nail these, but do it a little bit better than the majority of the drivers in the pack as well. So we'll see if there's any chance for that to happen here, but he's actually going to hit a little bit of a bump on that on that last downturn, and I think that may have been enough to prevent him from any passes this time around, and ultimately it looks like he will secure that 12th position overall. No additional improvement, so it will be all points wiped off the board for Scrappy. 12th, not a bad place to be with a broken controller, but unfortunately it's not going to be a place where he can feel safe enough just yet. Pack, though, with 76 points, holds on to a top 8, along with Bren with 49. Carl Jr. as well, moving into the high points range alongside them. So there you have it. It is going to be the points reset now. Scrappy, though, actually moves up the leaderboards out of that because he still gained 4 points after losing 4 points. So if anyone's going to lose all their points, like Scrappy actually, I think, benefits the most out of that in that position. So he actually moved up 4 spots from 16th to 12th. So all in all, could have been a lot worse for Scrappy on this one. And if he can somehow secure a top 8 finish here on the final race, there's actually a chance that even with a broken controller, if Scrappy somehow gets an 8th or better here, that he's still going to finish the overall day in the top 8, which would be honestly pretty insane to see unfold considering how this day has gone so far. But we've definitely seen crazy things happen in these final races of the day here in Trackmania. It wouldn't be a stretch to see it happen here again. So we'll see what Scrappy can do. Final race of the day here. Everything on the line to try and get some points on the board. Scrappy currently tied for 11th overall. A chance at a top 8 overall in the day. Not a bad position to be in if he can find his way into a top 8 here on our final map of the day. It's going to be To the Peak for the final map of the day. A very tough one to do with a broken controller, but we'll see if Scrappy has the resilience here to get the job done and potentially push himself into an okay placement for today. Right now, though, just hanging out in warm-up mode, waiting on everybody to get ready to go here. About 40 seconds before we hop into it. I'm not sure if Scrappy disconnected or not, but looks like we aren't able to see his perspective here, so I think there is a chance Scrappy may have disconnected from the lobby for some reason. So hopefully Scrappy can get back in here before this one actually starts. Would be an unfortunate situation if they do start the race without him, so hopefully Scrappy can get back in here. He is not actively in the lobby here, guys, so hopefully they allow him to rejoin before things actually get kicked off here. So there is a pause that comes out right at the start. So it looks like they will be allowing Scrappy to rejoin. So Scrappy is going to get a moment to reconnect here before we hop back into it, guys. And we'll see what he can do on the final track of the day. All he needs is an 8th place finish, though, and he will be a top 8 for the overall day. So Scrappy just looking for at least the benefit of the doubt here on that one. So we'll see what he can do. Right now, though, just waiting on the reconnect here from Scrappy, and then they will reset the lobby, and we'll be back into it for our final map of the day. If you guys are hanging out in the chat, though, appreciate everybody tuning in today. Love all the support here for Scrappy throughout the TMGL. Be sure to give this guy's channel a follow if you have not. Maybe even throw in a sub. Show him some love there, you guys. But we are getting ready to go into it here for our final race of step number 3 here to see what these drivers can do. Scrappy just looking to try and hold on to some points here for the day and close it out with at least a little bit of an uptick here considering how this one's gone. Right now, though, guys, if you are just tuning in, we're waiting on Scrappy to reconnect here after having a disconnect in between races 5 and 6 right now. Just getting some perspective here in the pause from Spammy, the previous map's winner, and potentially a contender for the highest points total on the day. Right now, just going to be waiting on the reconnect. Scrappy trying to figure out how to get back in the lobby here. Just unfortunately some connection issues. But once that's resolved, we'll be back into it, guys, for our final track of the day. While we are in pause mode, go ahead and take a look at a few of the other drivers for you guys just to get a glimpse of some of these other drivers in their vehicles here for the season. Hopping on with Bren here, who surprisingly has kind of crept up into the top 3 position here. He's not someone who's had any big plays, I would say, on the day. He's just been consistent throughout, and now he finds himself with 58 points here. Pack, though, sitting on 90 points. That would be a monstrous day if Pack can close out race number 6 with the top 8. That's a chance for 100 points plus in a single day, which is something I don't think has happened a whole lot here in TMGL. It's a very rare occurrence, but if Pack can pull off 100 plus points in a day, I'd have to say he's probably pretty safe in terms of making the playoffs in that top 8 position as well, alongside Carl Jr. here. Carl Jr., though, I believe still might be in the lead depending on how the final race goes if they all secure their points for the day. But Right now, a lot of these drivers in the back of the pack, they really need a big day. Link, Tween, Papu, Scrappy, Yvonne, Massa, like a lot of these guys don't have too many points overall. Kappa as well. It's been a rough day for these guys in the bottom 8, but it just goes to show you how confident these drivers in the top 4 or 5 overall really are. Right now, if you guys are tuning in though, we are still waiting on everybody to reconnect here to the lobby on the pause, and once that's taken care of, we will be right back into it. If you guys are hanging out right now though, we'll go ahead and do something fun, you know? It's not something we've done so far, but let's go ahead and roll a gifted sub to somebody in chat. Who wants a gifted sub? Just let me know in chat. I'll give one of you guys a gifted sub here during the pause, just for being cool and hanging out with us. So let me know in chat. Do you want a gifted sub? I've got one ready for one of you guys. I'll go ahead and pick a random winner out of the chat here during the pause time. Yeah, guys, if you're a non-sub in the chat, let me know. Gonna throw out one random gifted sub here in just a few short moments. All right, guys. I'm going to roll a quick winner here. And there you have it. The gifted sub has been decided. Jehovah Nova, congratulations. You are the winner of the gifted sub. Thanks for hanging out. And if you guys continue to hang out in the future, who knows? Maybe you'll get another gifted sub here. Appreciate everybody tuning in, though. Just having some technical difficulties here. We're hanging out, though, having a good time, waiting for the servers to get back up and running for our final race of the day. And then we'll be back into it. Simple as that, guys. But while you're hanging out, appreciate everybody tuning in, having a good time. Be sure to follow the channel here if you haven't as well. If you haven't followed Scrappy by now, I don't know what you're doing. You're missing out, guys. Definitely missing out. Right now, though, just a few more moments until we are back into it. One more race on the day. If you guys want to take a quick look here as well. Overall points for the day. Pack way out in front right now. Unfortunately for these guys in the bottom 8, not a whole lot of points to work with, but there's still a final race of the day to see what they can do. But part of me really wants Pack to lose these points. I don't know about you guys. Just seeing someone that high, you almost want to see them get knocked down a little bit, you know? 100 plus points on the day for Pack. It almost feels like too much, you know? You gotta ease up, take it easy there. But at the same time, it would be great to see him have, you know, a successful day as well. I mean, 100 points or more in a day is a pretty crazy task in itself, but it's one of those things where it's a high risk, high reward thing. Appreciate everybody else throwing those gifted subs in the chat as well. Definitely keep that sub train rolling here for Scrappy. He deserves it here. You know, got to make up for having a little rough day. The controller's broken. Got to up those funds, guys, to get him a new controller. Maybe even 2, 3 controllers. You know, show the support, show the love. Appreciate everybody who's hanging out and just riding with us through the technical difficulties here today. It's been a pleasure to have you guys around. Keep being awesome. Right now, we're just continuing to wait here as they get the servers sorted out. There's about 4 or 5 drivers that are having some connection issues right now, so we are just sliding around here on the track, looking at some of the other perspectives of everybody as they kind of hang out and wait for things to get back going here. Scrappy, though, has reconnected here. Get some pogs in the chat for Scrappy reconnecting here, ready to go for our final race of the day. Looks like everybody's just about connected as well here. Hopping on with Scrappy here, though, getting warmed up on our final map of the day. Everybody just about ready to go now. It's going to be our final race for Step 3. All of your points are at risk as well. So whether you have 90 points or if you got 0 points, everything's on the table. Kappa, he's got nothing to lose here. This could be a big opportunity for him to take some risks, go for the win, take that risk. Hopping in with all the drivers, though. Looks like the majority here have reconnected. I don't see anybody not in the lobby at this point, so it looks like we are just about ready to go. As you can see, though, in preparation for this final track, Scrappy kind of working through a few of the sections right now just to get comfortable, because it is going to be hard to do this with a broken controller. This is not an easy track to navigate, but nonetheless, he is going to try. I think everybody has reconnected now. I'm not sure what the further delay is from on the game servers, guys, but hopefully we'll be back in very soon here to get this final race of the day underway. So it looks like there may be a couple drivers that haven't reconnected yet. It looks like there's a few drivers that are either AFK or something maybe going on that is not allowing them to reconnect to the server. So yeah, we'll see what happens here, but right now we are just waiting on some server technical difficulties, guys, so hopefully we can ride it out soon and be back into it. Wow. That's pretty much impeccable timing. Trackmania has heard my words, and we are ready to go. Everything on the line here. Be in the top 8 or lose all of your points on To The Peak here in our final race of the day. Scrappy starting this one off, fighting into the top 8 here. A little bit of a struggle, though, around that turn, and that's where the broken controller is going to get you every time. That turn is going to be a tough one to manage, unfortunately so. Scrappy already going to be fighting from behind here in this final one of the day, and you can see these sliding turns are going to be painfully difficult with a broken controller, and it's going to be a tough race for Scrappy here to close out the day. Of all the tracks to end the day on here with a broken controller, this has got to be one of the tougher ones, I'd imagine. There's just so many sharp turns you've got to take here, so many sliding turns you've got to take, and doing that under these circumstances, not easy at all. Scrappy, though, going to keep trying here to find his way back into it. Maybe get at least a couple points somehow on the table here. Unfortunately, though, just not the day here for Scrappy. Trying to figure it out, though. He's going to be able to actually get through that one successfully the second time around. So got to give him credit for that. Not an easy turn there with a broken controller to work with. Not looking too bad around that last one as well. Scrappy definitely starting to figure it out under the circumstances here and find a way to at least make it work and make it manageable. currently here on lap 2 out of 6, though. Scrappy about 5.5 seconds off of moving in for a shot at the top 8. Going to be almost impossible to try and make happen, but we're going to see him continue to try and make that effort to claw back at this one just to see what he can do. Right now, Scrappy just looking for a way to fight back in this final race of the day, trying to make some headway and catch up on the leaderboards here. He's made an effort and caught up to Tween here in that 15th position. A couple drivers close by as well. Looks like Spam goes down and out there. 3 drivers going down and out there. Scrappy being gifted a bit of a miracle here to try and make the comeback. We'll see if he can do it halfway through, and now he's in 13th, potentially closing in on 12th here. Scrappy looking to make that miracle happen here in this final track of the day, and unfortunately, a little bit of lag in the server. It's going to see that tree right in the way, and I think this is a server lag issue. It's got to be. This is a struggle of a race, to say the least, right now for these drivers. I'm not sure what is going on here, but the lag may actually play to Scrappy's favor in this one. I mean, I'm not going to lie. It seems to have done him a few favors already. Right now, though, 9 seconds off of a top 8. Not looking too strong for the potential to close out here in the top 8, but the crazy thing is a lot of these drivers are at risk of losing their points right now as well. A lot of issues with drivers in these turns here on to the peak. It's proving to be quite the difficult map here today. Scrappy, though, looking to do what he can to try and maybe, just maybe, get that 8th place spot to come his way. It's going to be a tough one to make that happen, but he's not in last place at the moment, but this time around he is going to have a bit of a mistake coming out of that last one, so he's going to have to recover quickly as he falls to 14th. 2 laps to go. We'll see what can be done here, but 9 seconds off of 8th place. Pretty much the deal being sealed at this point. Have to give a big shout out though to Pack. I mean, he's currently in first place in this final race of the day with 90 points. This is a guy who's definitely in it to win it today. So big shout out to Pack here. Just kind of playing lights out today, putting up a ton of points for himself. Scrappy there, gonna be right around 14th position here. A potential chance at 13th if he can get this pass up onto Bren. As they go into the final lap here, though. It is going to be a tough final lap here for Scrappy. Still trying to do what he can here as he hops right into it. He actually gets the double pass here. 2 drivers making some major mistakes there. Going into the final lap, Scrappy does move up into 12th. Still 6.5 seconds, though, away from an 8th place finish. As you can see, a couple other drivers having some issues around it. It's going to be 11th now for Scrappy. 1 or 2 more mistakes from the drivers out in front in the top 8. And Scrappy, there could be a moment where he could squeeze into the top 8 here. It's going to be a difficult one to do so, but there is a small chance it could happen here. Final lap, though, Scrappy going to be passed by Bren, but the pass is going to come right back for Scrappy around this last turn here. As you can see, though, neck and neck between Massa, Bren, and Scrappy going into the uphill section. It is going to be a tough one to close out here. Scrappy, though, that is going to be pretty much a deal breaker for him to potentially get into a higher placement, but still, it's going to be 12th for Scrappy, so he won't end the day at the back of the pack. Still manages to close it out with a 12th place finish here. And as we can see, Spam will kind of round out the finish here, and that is going to be how it closes out here. And there you have it. Scrappy +4, -4, so he'll end the day with 4 points. Not in last place, though. 12th overall, tied with Massa here. All things considered, not a bad finish to the day. Of course, having a broken controller, not a great position to be in, but a big day for Pack. He picks up 104 points. Have to give him a shout out. Carl Jr. as well, though, picks up 60, keeping himself in the lead with 211. Scrappy in 10th place with 26. But really, in Scrappy's position, he's just one good day from moving into the top 8 here. The only 2 drivers really out of reach right now for the rest of the pack are Pack and Carl Jr. I think everybody else is in a position where one good week, any driver could pass them. So definitely a big congratulations to Pack and Carl Jr. for having great weeks. Scrappy, next week he'll be back strong, controller fixed and ready to go. Unfortunate circumstances this week to be in, but still manages to hang on for a few points, and we'll see what he can do as we continue forward here in TMGL Winter 2020. But guys, it's been fantastic to have you guys hanging out with us today in the chat. Appreciate everybody tuning in and showing their support for Scrappy. We'll be back again same time next week for step number 4, and we'll see you guys then. Thanks for tuning in.